we're live on Facebook and YouTube. And, well, good evening, Marty.
Good evening, Justin. How are you?
I'm very well indeed. And what have we got lined up tonight? Because it's a rather big evening this evening, isn't it?
Well, it's always a big evening, Justin. Always a big evening. But we have the news as usual. We have news. First up in the news, we'll have to get that. Our friend do the news, and then we've got a special guest. We have Ned Gahan from the Waterford Distillery. And I'm very much looking forward to having a chat with him.
Oh, very good. Very, very, very good indeed. It's going mad across India tonight, actually. A lot of people actually think that we boost this using Indians. We don't. We have the same level of viewership in India that we have in the United Kingdom because there's 1.8 billion people in India, and a lot of them are whiskey drinkers. So
and don't forget, we've also reached out to the Indian guys. You know, we keep talking about Indian guys. You know,
we've had a couple of Indian people on anyway.
Yeah.
So I think I'll hit the button, shall I?
Hit the button.
I know you like this.
I do like this.
I'll put it on full screen, shall I? Or shall I put us all on together? I'll put us all on together, and I'll hit the button. Here we go. Oh,
I love it. I love it. Brilliant. Brilliant.
I don't know why you love it.
I just think it's class. That's all the better for it, Justin. All the better for it.
It makes me feel like Norman Wisdom when that's played. You know, you're Mr. Grimsdale and I'm Norman, or maybe you're Norman and I'm Mr. Grimsdale.
We'll get viewers in Albania if we keep that up. Norman Wisdom was huge in Albania.
Yeah. Do they have internet in Albania?
Well, they do now. Now the communism's one thing, they have that freedom. Now, first up in the news, today was the day our old friend the Admiral done his Sonic Boom bourbon, 700 mile an hour bourbon. So we were on the show earlier on. We were on with him earlier on, and they done it. They actually strapped 4 casks to the underside of a Sea Harrier and flew it at 700 mile an hour. We have a clip, don't we?
We do have a clip. Here, I'll hit the clip. This will open the show for us tonight. What do you see this?
Here come the Jets. And I want to say my last round of shout-outs to Tobacco Barn Distillery for helping put this on, South Hunt Air for helping put this on,
riding like this.
December 5 Fund, the folks over at the the 2 jets are now in formation coming in. I guess I was a little wrong. Alex is going to be showing them right now. This is a surprise. They weren't going to do this. Oh, boy. Gets you going. It really gets you going. If anyone's watching online, when we do this again, because I'm sure we're going to, you got to make it up here in person.
It's just nuts. It's the most American thing ever. You know,
it is.
Have a private jet. Why not just strap whiskey to the bottom of it and fly it at supersonic speed? Now, we don't know the outcome. We don't know the outcome of what's happened to the whiskey, whether it all leaked out or what happened. We don't know. But it's set 3 records: the highest altitude, the lowest pressure, and the fastest whiskey of all time. So there we go. It's all for charity for the Simmerfy Foundation for wounded veterans and their families and stuff. So just let's be honest, that is nuts. It's just nuts. But is that not a good thing? I just think it's fantastic. You know,
there's some great guests on there. Actually, we live streamed it. It's actually, you can see it below this video. Actually, but there was a fantastic artist on there as well.
It's just
a famous guy.
Well, it's the it's not famous. I forget his name.
Marty, it's Caruso. It's Caruso.
Right. Okay. I'll take your word for it. I forgot that. It's just interesting, and the whole thing's just bonkers. But that's why not? Why would you not do that? You know.
I know. There you go.
So the whiskey will be for sale. You had to pre-order it, and you have to pre-order it. So we'll see. Okay. Yeah. So someone asked there, do they think it's going to change the whiskey, or is it just for the crack? It's actually what they're reckoning it is, it'll because of the low pressure, it'll force the whiskey way into the wood. Now it's only up there for a very short period of time, so who knows what it'll do? But why wouldn't you do it? As I say, it's raising money for charity, so it's all good, all good. So hopefully we'll find out more about it and keep us all posted.
Okay, good. We better say hello to some people. Patrick Mulkey said hello. Julie Mason said hello. Tony Sillett saying hello. That's somebody else saying hello, no doubt. Peter Stewart saying hello. Geordie Burke saying hello. Connor is saying hello. Well, lads, yes, good evening. Sean McClanahan here as well. Peter's here as well this evening. John Dunn is watching. And Mark Kerr, you weren't first in, Mark Kerr.
Oh, Mark.
Yeah.
Mark's slipping.
Linda Clocks is here. And Peter Stewart is saying, and the biggest angels shall ever. And there you go. Tobacco Barnes joining us.
Hey! Admiral Scott, well done. Well done, buddy.
That was good. That was very
excellent
good
stuff. Yeah. So he's decided to join us. I would imagine he's probably partook of some of his own product by this stage. It was funny because he had to tell us that to get the thing to fly, he had to get the jet turned into a bonded warehouse for the day in order for it to fly.
Do you know what got me? The fact that there was food and I missed it. There was a street food cart there and I missed it. I missed it.
Yeah,
I know.
Oh no. But no, it's fantastic. We'll definitely catch up with that and find out more what happened. But no, now
it's that funny shaped bottle tonight, isn't it?
See, the bottle is just fabulous. It's the Sexton has announced this week that, I mean, it's very popular, hugely popular single malt, let's be honest. And they have announced this week that they have become the official drink of the TV show The Walking Dead. Now, I mean, The Walking Dead, this is big time now. This is big time. The massively popular show, viewing figures in the millions, along with, I mean, loads of other franchises that they do out. So, I mean, it's fantastic news for the Sexton creator, Alex Thomas. Congratulations to everybody involved. Now, it says, if you go to the website, it says you can unlock hordes of exclusive content to do with The Walking Dead. I don't know what that means. I haven't signed up for it yet. But if you go to thesexton.com, I think is that the website, thesexton.com, is it? Thesextonwhiskey.com.
If you Google it, you'll find it.
Yeah, you Google it.
Be very careful typing in the word SEX and then TON.
Yeah, finish that before you go for the recommended things from Google, you know. So, exclusive content, I don't know what that means. But they've brought out this new little advert, which I really like. I like the song of this. I think the song's class. It's another one of these great wee ditties.
Okay, here we go with it.
You're gonna ocean trip, no matter come what may. You've got your reservations, but you just can't get away. Next year for sure you'll see the world, you really get around. But how far can you travel when you're 6 feet underground? Enjoy yourself, it's later than you think. Enjoy yourself.
What a weird show that is. That's weird, Marty.
No, I like it. I think it's they're going from strength to strength, and it's fantastic. Good for them. You know, it's absolutely amazing what they're doing. And the bottle's gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful thing.
Yes, it reminds me of the Giant's Causeway. It's that shape, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's right up beside the Giant's Causeway. I mean, it's Bushmills. So
yeah,
when Alex was she worked in Bushmills, so I'm not exactly 100% sure what her job was, but yeah, she worked up there and come up with this idea, and I mean,
yeah, I don't know what Connor's talking about. Connor, I should warn you that he is an actual admiral. So if you're talking about that's awful yank nonsense, do you mean you're talking about The Walking Dead or you're talking about the Admiral? Because we have your coordinates and we're just typing them in now as we speak. Yes.
Next up is whiskey prices again going a bit nuts. This week, the world's most expensive miniature was sold. Now, It went for, if you include the fees, you include all the auction fees and stuff, £6,440. So that, just to put that into context, that's $9,000 or about €7,500. A bottle of Springbank 1919, 50-year-old. Now, show the other. Bring up the next pictures.
There we go. Yeah,
No,
I'll put
yeah.
it on. I'll put it on big because it's quite small. Actually,
Put it on big, yeah. So that's the winning bid. You'll notice the fill level. Okay, then that's
halfway up the label, is it?
That's 50 mil. Now, if you show the next picture, that's a 50 mil bottle. Sorry, and pull that up onto full screen. Now, I would say there's heading towards a quarter of that gone. Well, maybe not just a quarter, but a fifth of it away. So are you talking there's about 40 mil of liquid in there? You know?
It's not good. It's not good at all.
So yeah. Now I have my own miniature. This is my own Campbelltown miniature from Glen Scotia. So if anybody wants to buy this, I'll quite happily sell them it for a fraction of the price. If you give me £600 for it, I'll sell you that. Or alternatively, I'll just drink it now. But yeah, it was. This was from the auction for miniatures at whiskey.auction, and it was the collection of Sukinder Singh, who's one of the founders of the Whiskey Exchange. Now, last year, a bottle of the full bottle of this, with no neck level, disappeared on it. Went for sale on the Whiskey Auctioneer website, and it went for £180,000. Yeah. So it's again, just the auction prices just go nuts and nuts and nuts. Further up.
It is. It's ridiculous.
Right, it's what it is. Now,
Jack Daniels.
Now, Jack Daniels have decided that they're going to release a 10-year-old age statement bottling. Now, Jack Daniels, if you go onto their website, they actually have quite a lot of special release stuff. There's the Distillers, Master Distillers one. You have the Frank Sinatra release. There's a whole pile of these things. But this is harking back to a bottling that they did over a century ago, where they used to put age statements out, and it's to be released next month. Now, this is going to be limited edition. Now, when I say limited edition, it's 36,000 bottles. But think how much Jack Daniels there is actually sold. It's only really a tiny little amount for them. I mean, it's a scrap. But this is going to be an annual release, apparently. It'll be selling for $70 a bottle. Now, that's the old bottle there, if you pull that up in full screen.
Yeah.
That's the old bottle and the new bottle. So there's sort of similarities. They sort of pay homage to it. The label of Jack Daniels is really the coolest bit of the whole thing, let's be honest. As someone says, it looks like a pirate's flag. That's kind of the reputation it should have, continue to have. But yeah, so it's an age statement from Jack Daniels. So
what kind of money's in that, Marty?
Well, that's what I say, $70. That's not there.
50 quid?
Thereabouts.
Slightly more.
Yep. Now, apparently, it said that it was aged at the top of the warehouse. Now, obviously, this is in Tennessee, where it probably gets quite hot and humid up there. So, who knows? Who knows what it's going to be like? But it's apparently they are going to start doing this, doing a bit more experimental, because they've got a new master distiller there, Chris Fletcher. So, yeah.
Okay. Now, final story tonight before our big guest.
Our big guest.
Yeah.
To raise money, Scottish Ballet Company have announced that they are auctioning off a single cask bottling to raise money. Now, it was distilled at Royal Lochnagar. It was laid down in 1994 to mark the company's 25th birthday. 470 bottles are part of the Diageo's Rare and Exceptional Cask series, and they're set to be up for auction in September on Whiskey Auctioneer. Now, lot number 1 will contain bottle number 1. So they'll obviously be numbered bottles. So it'll contain bottle number 1 plus the cask end, which has a painting of the dancer Nikki Theus, I think that's how it's pronounced, in the role of Sleeping Beauty done by Norman Edgar. Now, I just go back to that picture. You skip the back one if you can.
I go back one. Hold on. It's acting clunky tonight for some reason. There we go.
I think that looks like a work of art to me. I mean, without the painting, that picture to me just looks absolutely amazing. So this is from Sleeping Beauty. These will be auctioned off to raise money. Diageo are picking up the bill for the bottling and the auction costs and stuff. So if you're wishing to support Scottish Ballet and you might want to have a bottle of Royal Lochnagar, that's the artist doing the painting, might have a look out for that. To be honest, I think it looks fabulous. It really does, you know.
I would need to have the ballet dancer with the barrel.
You'd be more likely to get the artist.
Pardon?
You'd be more likely to get that. But no, I think I just that image. I thought it just looked arresting. You know, it really did.
Good.
So that's this week in whiskey. That's the news. That's my selected news features of this week. Now, is he waiting in the wings?
He's waiting in the wings. Shall I give him the countdown? He's getting the 3, 2, 1. There he goes.
There he is. Ned Waterford.
Well, man.
How are we, sir?
Ned Waterford. How are you going, lads?
We're going all right. We're going okay. It's actually a bit warm in here tonight for some reason. It wasn't warm all day, but it seems very warm tonight. Maybe I'm just hot and bothered about you coming on, Ned. That's maybe what it is.
I'm just going to pull you up on something as well, lads. When you were talking about the big guest, I hope now you weren't talking about the frame.
We're talking about personality. We're talking about personality. So
good.
Ned is the head distiller at Waterford. Now, I'm going to say, Ned, if you'd have said a few years ago you would be the head distiller of somewhere, would that have been a bit of a surprise for you?
100%, Martin.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, so I suppose this is my first whiskey job. And how lucky am I? So I would have worked for Diageo for 15 years in the brewery in Waterford, and then it closed down. They closed Elveston Dock and Kilkenny, and then Mark Rainier came in and bought the site and started to make whiskey. So I was fortunate enough to meet Mark early on, and I suppose maybe 6 months into it, he offered me the job then. Now,
you worked for this in the Smithwick's brewery, okay? Now, what was your role there? What was your role there?
So I suppose I started back in 5th of January 99, and there's a couple of guys who started in August 98. And basically what it was is, at the time, it was one man, one job. So there was all the older guys, they wanted to retire. So they did a deal to leave in younger lads like us to basically train cross-functionally so we could do all the jobs. Mm-hmm. But my first job, I thought, was brilliant. I was driving a 3.5-ton forklift.
Diesel forklift.
Taking 15 kegs off the line and loading trailers and putting the empties up. So I thought it was Evel Knievel on that. So I had worked on farms for a good while, for a good few years. So I was well used to that. So that was my first gig, and then it was training in the rest of the areas as well. Like, so I know it was great crack. It was a great start.
Yeah. So Smithwick's closes, and you were lined up to get another job somewhere else, or something. There's another little aspect of the story.
Yeah. So I suppose just before Diageo spent 40 million euros in 2003. So the brewery itself, kind of conventional brewery, stopped, and they started making Guinness Foreign Extra, or GFE, so which is concentrate Guinness. So and then that closed in 2013. So I took a year out and I had a job. I was after going for a job interview, and I got it in one of the pharmaceutical factories in Waterford in Boshnam, and I was due to start that, and I went in and I had a meeting with Mark, and as happens, you listen and Mark talks, and he said, "Listen, what do you want?" Like, I said, "Well, tell me you have a job, tell me you don't have a job, or you might have a job in a couple of months." I said, "I'm due to start a job." This was on a Thursday. "I'm due to start a job on Monday. So, you know, I leave it up to yourself." Came out of it, didn't think it went very well. Got contacted then to say, "Listen, yeah, sure, you can start." So there was no conversation about money, what the job was or anything. So, yeah. But once you meet him, you kind of want to work for him.
Yeah. I will just say this. I'll probably hear this. Passion sort of beats everything, and he is a really, really passionate guy. It just comes across. And we'll talk about this a little bit later. But I mean, the whole project of Waterford, his fingerprints is just all over the whole thing. I mean, it's literally just all over the whole thing from the way up.
I can honestly say, everyone that started in the distillery knew nothing about whiskey. So it was his idea. So like terroir, it took me about a year to try and pronounce it properly. Sometimes I still don't, just to annoy him.
What do you say, terror or something like that, Ned?
Terror. So none of us knew anything about whiskey. We knew about brewing and all the other bits and pieces, and how what was the brewery worked, how that did work, because a good few of the lads came back, Paul and Anthony and a few of the other guys as well. Mm-hmm. So it was basically his vision, and he kind of set you a task. Doesn't give you the ins and outs of it, just what the end goal is, and off you go.
Yeah, I mean, the whole project has been really a bit of a revelation. I'll be honest, when it first started, when they're talking about the single farms and the 1.1s, I just found it really confusing. I just did. I don't think I was alone in this. I think pretty much everybody was like, how's this going to last? If you get one bottle that you like, can you never get it again, kind of thing? And it just was confusing.
Yeah, and I'll be perfectly honest, it was confusing for a lot of people, including some of us. And I think so, and I'll probably get in trouble for this, but sometimes when you're kind of in the moment, you can't see, you know what they're talking about, you know what they're on about, and you can't see why people can't get that. And I suppose to very first day, kind of Mark said to me, the Waterford whiskey is the cuvée. That is what Waterford is about. Yeah. And I think he used the term something like single farms are going to be a stepping stone or a snapshot.
Yeah.
But I suppose then what happened was the single farms went bonkers. People went mad for it, and we probably lost the narrative a little bit, and we probably got caught up in the hype ourselves a little bit, and we probably brought out too many single farms. That's, I'll say that because I don't think I'll get sacked for saying that.
I don't think you would, because I haven't met Mark Rainier, but I've seen a lot of videos of him. I think he's the sort of boy, he likes people to tell it as it is, to his face and to other people.
Sometimes Justin. Okay. No. In fairness, he does, but see, I suppose the thing about Mark too is people think that he's a shitstar, and he's not. Like, he just believes what he's saying, and he's just committed to it. So when the single farms came out, then they were obviously, they went a bit crazy, and the prices on secondary markets were ridiculous. And one of the things that bringing out a good few single farms probably did for us was it kind of shot down the secondary market a little bit.
It did. People
kind of were saying, I can't collect all these, and that's what we wanted. We don't want people just collecting and collecting and collecting. Yeah. We want people to drink it, enjoy it. They may not worry about terroir code. They may love the terroir code, and they may not agree with it, but it's a conversation opener. So I think by bringing out so many of the single farms initially, it probably got rid of the secondary market a little bit, I think, you know.
I think it did. I think everybody sort of wanted everything with 1.1 written on it. You know, that was kind of
yeah.
And then once they kind of had that sort of died out, and then once you're starting to get 1.2s and so on, and people are going, well, I can't, you know. So but I think all of that confusion really probably wasn't confusing for you, but it was from a consumer point of view, it was confusing for us. Now, the bottle when it came out, this doesn't look like a whiskey bottle. Okay, it doesn't look like your traditional bog standard whiskey bottle. It really does stand out. Now, why was the blue picked, or why was this shape?
I suppose it was a deliberate thing, because one of the things that we are is a natural whiskey. So we're not using any enzymes. We're not using caramel E150A. So the color didn't matter to us. The color of the whiskey doesn't matter to us. And a lot of people, when they buy or look at a bottle of whiskey, they'll say, "Oh, that's a lovely color. That must be old and it must be good." And I think that's kind of sums up what Mark doesn't want. You know, people should be buying a bottle of whiskey or a whiskey for flavor, for complexity, for interest. So straight away it was, we don't want to be showing off the color. The color we get is from the casks, and that's why we use the range of casks as well. Like, you know, so we can get the colors from that. So that was the blue. Well, maybe not blue initially, but a colored bottle. Blue then is, I suppose, is a Waterford color. It's one of the county colors. Maybe not as dark as that, but it's definitely a Waterford color. And so I suppose that's where it started. There was a lot of conversations and work around the design then, and around the glass stopper, the vin locks as well. A lot of people. Awesome. I was a bit skeptical at the start, but it's an excellent stopper. And the other thing, the other thing Mark wanted as well is he didn't want, like, people assume corkage doesn't affect whiskey, and it does, like, you know. Yeah. So he didn't want that to affect the whiskey either, like.
Yeah. People get very confused about what corkage is. You know, whenever they get offered a bottle of a drink of wine in a restaurant, and they see, is it because there's a bit of cork floating in it? No, it's because what happens is there's a fungus. You know, the fungus that grows inside cork if it's not treated right, and then obviously that taints and stuff. Yeah. Now there was an argument. There's an argument to say that whiskey was too strong for it to hang, but it doesn't. It still taints it.
And even if there's a degradation, or if there's, you know, of the cork itself, and it's, you know, it just, you know, what we have there, the vin lock, the glass stopper is a very clean stopper, and it works well with the bottle, but it's very functional as well.
And it wouldn't be cheap. I'm just going to say that. I don't think it would be that cheap to
no, it's not. It's not cheap. No, it's not cheap. There was a lot of discussions. I suppose with everything that we're doing, it's not cheap. Yeah. We're not doing something because it's expensive. We're not buying it just because it's expensive. But what we're doing is looking for something that's a high quality. Something that fits the brand, and something that, you know, we want. So all these little bits and pieces add up. I think sometimes the CFO, John Adams, might query some of it, but at the end of the day, he's 100% behind it as well, because everyone knows what the starting point was and what the goals are. So, you know, we're all just going ahead with that.
Now, getting back. You offered a job as head distiller, having never distilled it. I assume you brewed stuff. I assume you had worked in the brewery. So you've done the fermentation stuff. So I assume that you're probably thinking in your head, I'll be doing something along those lines. I'll be doing the fermentation part. But you got offered head distiller's job. What was your initial reaction to this?
When I said, I remember I was in the office and he built me up and shot me down in the one sentence. And he said, I'd like to, I want to offer you the head distiller job. I think you can do it. I think, you're the right man for the job. He said, but you can't fuck it up.
We'll be getting Zuckerberg. I do apologize for the bad language, ladies.
Oh, sorry. Oh, jeez.
No.
Are we not on course?
Justin gets Zuckerberg twice and he's now paranoid about it.
So, yes, because he said kind of, I think he was putting his neck on the block kind of because I think all along we assumed that there was going to be bringing in a distiller. Mm-hmm. But what Mark didn't want is he didn't want someone who didn't know how to distill, which is a bit of an irony because I didn't know how to distill, but there you go. But he wanted someone who could actually run, distills and run the whole lot and understand that. And initially, I'd say he didn't think I'd be kind of doing this kind of work because I don't have really the face for the for the telly. I don't have the voice for either. But there you go. But yeah, no, listen. So it was a big undertaking, and I know myself. I learn by doing things and hands-on rather than reading and all that. So fortunate enough, we went to Islay, and we went over to Bruichladdich, obviously, and they were brilliant. Adam and the whole team and Alan were brilliant. And we went to a few other distilleries as well. And that's the one thing about the whiskey is the whiskey community is, everyone is willing to share and talk. Yeah. At the end of the day, we're all doing something slightly different. Yeah. It's the same. Yeah, they're the same principles. It's just how you decide to do it after that. Yeah. So that was a big help. And I remember just, being in Bruichladdich and spending a bit of time with the stillmen and stuff. And that's where you'll pick up the little tidbits, like, with the guys who are actually doing it and things like that. So, like, I suppose we were fortunate enough back at the distillery to have everything there, bar distilled and that, like, So that was the only thing we had to get in. The brewing stuff was all there. Yeah. So it was daunting. But what I found out afterwards too was Mark was kind of looking for someone with fresh eyes to it. He didn't want someone coming to it who had preconceived ideas and the whole lot. And again, I suppose I thought when we came to the bottling, I didn't know I was going to be involved in that. I thought he'd probably have a bit of interaction with that, and he didn't. And we had a conversation about that one day as well, and that was fairly straightforward what she was saying. So, I suppose there's a huge amount of ownership given, like,
Yeah. Now they everything that started up, and you got the stills in. The first day you're firing these up, how nervous were you? I assume you're probably standing there going, please God, I hope I haven't.
Well, to be honest, the first day we fired them up on grain was on barley was the 9th of December 2015, and I wasn't nervous at all. Because we had John Regan and his team from FDT who had commissioned, who had done all the work on the engineering side, and we had the Foresights guys there. Yeah. So they were the ones who were concerned, and I was asking questions, and it wasn't my responsibility, I suppose, at that stage. It was the commissioning process. So when we fired them up initially, that was kind of that was the thing. And I suppose when the guys went and we went live, that was daunting, all right. Yeah. But the first few times it was, it was like those training wheels there for me, so it wasn't too bad.
You're just,
and in fairness, like,
you're just sort of thinking, if anything goes wrong here, I can blame Forsyth.
exactly, yeah, exactly. So you know, we were actually very, very lucky. When we started up the first year, I think we only had something like 4 hours downtime in the first year, which is amazing.
It's amazing. That is amazing. But I mean, the amount of work that goes into all the stuff, getting all that set up, it's an incredible thing. I mean, even just to make the stills. Whenever you look at what it is they have to do, it's a real art. I mean, it's a huge thing to do, you know.
Yeah, and I suppose, you know, our first stills that we used were and rightly so called the Inverleven stills, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And we have since in the last 3 weeks we changed them out and we put in new stills, so they're Waterford stills as such, like, you know. And those Inverleven stills that were reconditioned by Forsyths, you know, served us really, really well. The last few weeks, Anthony, who was our engineer, was probably on tenterhooks a little bit because those little bits of weeping here and there and leaking and stuff. So they were definitely on their last legs, but they served us really, really well, like, you know.
Yeah. So where are they? Just if you have them, I'll get them out the back garden and maybe have a word myself.
Yeah. No, actually, the wash still, which was the still that was outside Brookladdy with the wellies in it, is now up in our garden with wellies in it, and the spirit still is inside in the distillery down on the ground level. So, you know, if people are coming in, they can get to see that as well. Yeah. So yeah, they're retired, but they're still there, like, you know.
Yeah. No.
Marty, we're getting a lot of good comments in. If you're watching online, remember to comment, like, and share, especially on YouTube and Facebook. It's repeated tomorrow on LinkedIn and Instagram. Eddie Torney is saying Ned is a good character, great story, and a lot of people singing your praises tonight, Ned. Peter Galbraith saying Ned is an amazing guy, and congratulations to him on the Waterford Distillery success story. And Conor O'Hare said, Mark is the man to put Irish whiskey back to number one. There you go.
Yeah. And yeah, listen, it's been great. I suppose it's and thanks to the people for all the lovely comments. And it's you know everyone likes the plaudits. Everyone likes to hear the nice things. But like at the end of the day, there's a huge not a huge team, but there's a great team at the distillery. And you know, there's about 22 or 3 people there now, and there's a fantastic team. Everyone does a great job. You know, there's not just, you know, people just don't do one job, if you know what I mean. Everyone kind of chimes in and gets involved and the whole lot. Like, so while I'm, you know, doing this and putting the whiskey together, like, we have 4 great distillers. We have the engineering team. We have the marketing team, the whole lot, like, and the management team as well. So it's a real team effort.
Yeah. Now, when you're talking about Waterford, you have to talk about terroir. Okay, this is, let's be honest, that's the big project. That's the project of the whole thing. Now, I'm not asking you to explain terroir, because it's one of these very nuanced things that doesn't really translate, but it's basically location translates to taste. That fair enough?
I suppose location in terms of you know, topography, climate is the big thing, like, you know. So if you're saying location, it's the climate to that area as well.
Yeah. Now we had Grace on. Who just
you had Grace.
Just
probably
blew
us away. Can you say agronomist? Can you say agronomist, Marty? Can you?
He knows I can't say this, so he keeps at
it. You say it again, Justin.
Agronomist.
That's not right.
No, agronomist.
You can't even say it right.
Agronomist.
See the way he bullies me. See the way he picks on me.
No. Marty, and he's slagging you.
I just can't say it at all. Agronomist.
All you have to say is Grace was on.
Yeah, that's it.
You know, Grace was on.
Grace was on.
Crop water.
Yeah. Crop water is how she describes herself.
We can't mention Grace because the Admiral might try to message you tonight or something like that.
the admiral from the Tobacco Barn Distillery was absolutely blown away, but he thought she was just, but because he owns his own farm, and the Tobacco Barn Distillery is field to glass distillery, and he was picking all these tips off her, and she said, "Oh, you know, nitrogen fertilizer's not it." So he just stopped using nitrogen fertilizer, and he says, "Oh, she saved me a fortune." So it's giving out free tea.
That's one of the things. Like, I suppose we did an information sharing day a couple of years ago with the farmers, and you know, farmers want to put nitrogen on the ground for a better yield.
Yeah.
But protein is a big stumbling block for us with our mash filter.
Yeah.
So, you know, we were saying this is the reason we don't want high proteins. And a couple of the farmers then went away and said, right, okay, we're going to drop back on the nitrogen. We're going to put nitrogen on it. We're going to sow as early as we can and just put the nitrogen on early and see how we get on. Mm-hmm. And a couple of the farmers from that got a lower yield, but actually had a little bit more money out of it because they had less inputs.
Yeah.
And they were able to talk to the other farmers, and, you know, that kind of thing was happening. So they were interested. Like, I think we've about 97 different farmers to date, but the farmers want to get involved.
Of course they do.
Like, we're not involved with the farmers directly because Minch Malt is the maltster, and we have the contract with them, and they have the contract with the farmers. But they want to get involved because if a farmer is growing potatoes or he's doing milk or barley or pigs or hens, and he's doing it on a large scale, they don't know where it goes in the food chain.
No. So
we have, you know, we buy roughly about 125 tons of green barley for them, and they don't bring it into Dalton's. Dalton's in Kilkenny will go out and collect it, and that's because, you know, when we're talking about terroir, there's two other T's that are under our provenance umbrella, which is traceability and transparency. Yes. Okay, so we know from the day that the field is sown until it gets into the bottle what has happened, and the farmers can get to see their name on it. Justin, did you say at Cheesetown, or Marty, did you say at Cheesetown?
I have Cheesetown here.
Yeah, so that's Philly O'Brien from Kilkenny. He's just outside Kilkenny, just between Kilkenny and Bennett's Bridge, like, you know.
Should we bring this up, Marty, and show people how this actually works?
Should bring this up because I want to show people just how detailed the stuff is that you guys do. Okay, now if you go onto Waterford website and you click up in the top right hand corner, there's a little button that says terroir.
Okay. It's saying to enter code in, Marty.
Right, I have this Cheesetown bottle, so I'll enter the code. I'll tell you the code and you put it in, okay? So it's F015.
F015.
E01.
E01.
01.
Hit enter.
Hit enter.
Right.
Now, you see, look at the level of detail you're going to get here. Now, this is the farm. This is the field that this whiskey, the barley that went into this whiskey was grown on. Okay. Now you go down and you have the name of the farmer, when it was, the date it was harvested, for which market, how many bottles there is, what it was bottled at. Okay. If you keep going down.
There's even a map of where it's exactly located, just north of Waterford Distillery.
It goes into even much more detail. It gives you the history of Cheesetown. It gives you the history of.
Hold on, I have to do this. The place of the lush grass is surely a fitting place to grow barley. Would I get a job doing the advert? Would I, Ned?
We'll put you on the short list. How about that?
I would make it as long short list if I was you.
Oh, boy.
If you go down, I mean, it tells you. It actually shows you pictures of the fields.
It actually plays you the sound of the single farm. You can actually hear the seagulls and all if I play this, but I won't play it.
Yeah.
It just gets mad.
I mean, Ned, the level of detail here, okay? The amount of stuff that you're putting out on here, the logistics of just putting all that on is I mean, it's incredible. How are you managing all of this?
I suppose it's coming back to, you know, when we were talking about terroir, to have real terroir, you have to be able to show it, and you have to be able to trace it and show it. So we equate it to a three-legged stool. You know, if you pull away one of the legs or one of the T's, the stool falls over and you don't have it, right?
Yeah.
So while everyone is talking about terroir, I suppose there's a huge amount of work that went into setting up this at the very, very start. So there was an in-house system built, we call it ProTrace, and a guy called Cian Duran who works with us, he built it, and I suppose he's a bit of a character in that he came in doing some computer work. He got a job as a distiller, and it was soon discovered that we needed him more in the IT side. So he built this whole ProTrace thing. So it does everything. It traces everything first, but it also feeds into revenue, into accounts, and into everything. Okay, so it's in-house, and it's blockchain
technology
times 50 probably.
Right. Okay.
It's unreal because you know it could do everything up, down, in, and out. So we would collect around 8,000 data points. So the thing had to be set up right from the start.
Yeah.
It had to be properly done from the start. So like we can go in and we can see fermentation hours. We can see pHs and original gravities at the start of fermentation. You know, we can see when we do our cut points on the stills, temperatures. The whole lot is there for us. So that information on there, that's only a snapshot of it. You know, I was joking there a while ago saying I think we could probably set up a hotline so people could ring in and ask some questions, like, you know.
Well, we'll put it like this. This blockchain, you could bring out the Waterford whiskey cryptocurrency of blockchain. Justin can run all that for you.
You'd never know.
Oh no. We'll buy into that. We'll be able to use it to buy these expensive miniatures. The prices of them.
Oh yeah.
It's madness.
I have to say, when you were showing the picture on the story with the Bitcoin out of it, I was wondering, did someone just take a nip out of it just to see what it's like?
I just screw it back on again, hope nobody noticed. Just a wee touch of solder.
If I was selling it, that's what I would do. Murray knows what I'm like.
Oh, yeah.
I have to have a nip of them all.
Yeah.
No. So Waterford have done all this, the terroir, and they've done the traceability, which is on a totally different level to everybody else's. It really is. Now you've had great success with the single farms. Now you've had 2 micro cuvées out, the small cuvées. What I'm trying to say, what's the logic behind the 2 micro cuvées? Because there's one come out last week. Are these just the picnic?
Picnic, this one.
Yeah, that came out last week.
Last week, yeah. So the micro cuvées is just having a bit of fun. It's just, you know, I suppose none of our whiskies are serious. Let's be honest, we're not, you know, we're not the most serious set of people involved in the distillery in the world, like, you know what I mean? But the micro cuvées are a bit of fun. So the picnic started as an idea where we were looking at maybe doing a pink whiskey. Because, you know, some of our French, I see Marty throwing his eyes to heaven there.
I would like the idea.
But I suppose some of our casks are obviously French and they're from good chateaus. But so I had an idea. Listen, we're trying to do a pink whiskey, but with the cask I couldn't quite get the color and the flavor, so it wasn't working. So because it was a micro cuvée then as well, you see, I think it was only 2,500 bottles, so we could only use 7 or 8 casks. If we're doing 40,000 bottles, you could use more casks, like, you know. So someone said then, you know, let's go for a summery vibe. So someone said a picnic. So, you know, being all fancy and posh, I think Mark said, oh, we go with picnic. So yes, so I suppose for that one was kind of a summery light feel. So I didn't use any American casks in it. I just used French and VDN casks. So there's no American casks in it, which is, you know, unusual because most of the bottles we've out have all the casks in it. Bar, I think Ballyclacavin didn't have American Virgin in it because we didn't have any at the time. So it's just for a bit of fun, really. So the micro cuvées are just a bit of fun. So we had Lower out, which was a winter warmer. We have Peak Neat there now, which is a summery one. So I think we might just, you know, maybe keep looking at the seasonal bottles and do something like that, like, you know.
Yeah.
I suppose we'll have the biodynamic and the organic out soon, and I suppose, you know, they might be they're you know, well, they're not single farms, they're a combination of organic and biodynamic farmers. Yeah.
Well, I loved the organic. I thought the organic was superb. Real cracking whiskey. Really, really good. Now,
I'm going to let the cat out of the bag because, Marty, you're expecting great things from this, aren't you?
I am. To be honest, I'll tell you why. I think the level of detail that has went into the whole project and the single farms. I've tasted a few of the single farms. Some of them are really good, and some of them weren't to me. But that's kind of the point, you know. They are all different. That's the reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
And you've given yourself such a wide brush, if you like, you know, such a wide scope of stuff to work with that I think your cuvee is going to be something special. I really do.
Yeah. Well, I suppose I have it here in the glass, so. You know,
no,
it's. I suppose the thing. I suppose there was a few for making up the cuvee. Okay, the first thing is how many bottles do you want made? So you know, they say how many bottles you want, and then you look at volume after that, and then it's kind of looking for complexity and also looking for a bit of age. Because, you know, a lot of the whiskies that we bought out so far have been, you know, 3.5 years, maybe 4 years. The cuvee, I think, is 4 years, 6 months, and 10 days old. That's the youngest. So there's others there that are close to 5 years, or a little over the 5 years. So just looking for complexity there. So I ended up using 25 single farms and a couple of organic casks as well. Just for a little bit of getting them in there as well. And I think there's 156 different casks used in it from 4 cask types.
Yeah.
And it's just to try and get as much complexity into it.
Yeah.
Again, Mark Zuckerberg mightn't be happy with this one, but Mark wanted the cuvee to be a mindfucker with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's what that's what he looked for. He wanted that. Okay, so that's all he says to me. I want this to be complex and intriguing. With the single farms, what you're trying to do is showcase that single farm in its best light.
Yeah.
And with the cuvées, you're trying to get single farms, those farms to come together in harmony to have complexity and whiskey that people like. At the end of the day, like, some people don't care about the terroir code. They'll smell it and taste it, and they might like it. And if they don't like it, that's grand. We're not saying it's going to be the best whiskey in the world, and it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea as such, like, you know. No. But I suppose that's what the cuvee. That's what the cuvee is. Waterford is the cuvee. Yeah. Be it the micro cuvées or the grand cuvee as this is probably.
Now, you're putting this together. Now, when I go back to the Sheestown I have here, okay, and it says head distiller's observations, and you give your tasting notes and your observations. So, you know, it's long clove, the spice form. You didn't start with this kind of background. You weren't trained as a blender, or I mean, you're a distiller / blender. You do both of them. So how did you train yourself up? Because with the best will in the world, Ned, I think whenever you were working in the brewery, flying about on a forklift and doing all the other stuff that you did, you're a very sort of, and in some ways, a fairly, I'm trying to say that so that a fairly sort of basic, ordinary guy. You know, you're not trained in the nosing of fine chateau produced wines the way Mark would be. So how did you get from where you were to being head distiller and blender in a really short period of time?
By I suppose the short answer to that, Marty, is by being an ordinary guy.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like what Mark wanted was, he wanted someone who was working. He wanted a head brewer, head distiller who are working day to day in the distillery, right? Mm-hmm. So as we were taking the spirit off the stills, you know, we're tasting it, we're nosing it, we know what it's about. And when it goes into the casks, I suppose getting the casks together and understanding some of the casks was a challenge, and you know, especially around the wine and the VDN, because that's Mark's world, and it's a learning for me. But it's that every day is a learning day. Mm-hmm. So the spirit going into the casks, and then the casks themselves as they're developing with the spirit in it. I was tasting that, and there was a row. I suppose, well, not a row. I suppose Mark had a few words with me because I was trying to get, you know, what did he want me to do, like with the whiskey?
Yeah.
He kind of said to me in exacerbation at one stage, and he probably used a few non-zuckable words.
Expletives.
I won't say it, but he said it's your whiskey. He said, you're looking after this every day. It's up to you to put it together whatever way you want. It just needs to be good, and it just needs to show off the single farms. And when we're doing the cuvées, it just needs to be complex. Yeah. And he just left me to it. So it's, I listen, hey, Marty, Justin, I'll leave you in a bit of a secret, right? I know there are not too many people watching. I'm as surprised as you are. You know, like the Pilgrimage was my first whiskey. It was Waterford's first whiskey. Yeah. And people have said to me, which is the best, you know, which is your favorite, which is your best, and the next one is going to be the best one. Yeah. You know, and that's the thing, like, you know, the Picnic was out this week. Cuvée will be out at the start of September. But, you know, I already have the next ones made up, and it was a me piece. I already have the next ones made up, and I'm looking at what do I need to make up for spring of next year. So, you know, that's what I'm doing. I'm focusing on, you know, the day-to-day stuff at the moment, like, you know. Yeah.
It just seems it's such a steep learning curve, and the stuff. To be honest, like the Gaia, the organic one, I honestly thought it was fabulous. I mean, it was really, really good.
And this sounds a bit like it, there's not a huge amount of it down to me, I suppose. It's down to the whiskey, it's down to the barley, you know. So the barley for us, the barley is the flavor. You know, we can decide then. You know, we brew it. Neil does a great job brewing it, and then when we, you know, have the long fermentations, we're getting that fruity note on the malolactic fermentation, and then what I would say is the stills decide. We decide what distillate we have, what spirit we have. We can have a heavy one if we have run it really fast. If we have low cut points. But we choose to have a light, elegant spirit. So that's where, we do the work on the stills, and then we buy the best casks we can afford. We spend over 30% of our budget on casks. So our biggest bill is barley. Second biggest bill is the wood. And then the third biggest bill is my wages.
That's what I like to hear. My director where it needs to go. Now, I think you're underselling yourself a little bit there, because you say you don't.
But I suppose the thing is, it is the team. effort. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
of course.
it's team that starts with the farmers. So it's the farmers, and you know, Minch Malt. What we do at the distillery, we have an excellent team. Then at Ballygarn, where we do have the bonded warehouse with Staffords. You know, we you know, so it's that kind of it's a whole thing. Like, if something is not right in a bottle of whiskey, I'll take, you know, that's me. Like, you know, because it's up to me to put it together. But you know, fortunate enough, like everyone has different taste profiles. Everyone has different what they like and they don't like. I suppose one of the things, Ballykilcavan was very divisive. I think when we bought it out, a lot of people didn't like it, but I did. I liked the bit of cut in it, the bit of sulfur, the bit of rubber in it. I just liked it, like, you know.
You can't please everybody. That's the one thing you have to remember. You just can't please everybody all the time. You just can't.
And that's we're not about pleasing everyone. It's just about making whiskey that we like and see where it goes from that.
Now, the label. We have to talk about the label because
do we?
Yes,
we do.
Because we had Leah on who was on explaining about the label, because it doesn't look like a whiskey bottle. Let's be honest, it doesn't. But it kicks out. It stands out of the shelf a mile away. If you have that bottle sitting up on a shelf up there, it
eventually,
it does stand out a mile. Now, we saw that you had a little go at art as well, my friend.
Yes.
When you went up to pick it up, and Leah was telling us that you had a little dabble into the art world. How did you find that?
I to be honest with you, right, I wouldn't. I have a brother actually who's good at. He's good at art. He did it, and he does all that kind of crack, and he's very, very good at it. I would be struggling to draw a straight line with a ruler. You know, my art is a matchstick man and maybe a matchstick woman, if I can get away with it, like, you know. And that's my art. Yeah. But I've met Leah 3 times now. The first time she came down to the distillery to see what we were about and go through, what we were looking for and what the cuvee concept was from a whiskey point of view.
Yeah.
And then we went up on the end of May, and I have to say it was one of the best days I've ever had in the distillery. It was unbelievable. So we went in and we had a film crew, and they were making a film for the cuvee on it. And when I went in, Leah said first, okay, we're going to do some drawing. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to stand at either end of a table. We're going to look at each other, and we're going to draw a portrait of each other while we're looking at each other, right?
Okay. I think yours might have been better than yours, Ned. Just preempting here.
So I was thinking, okay, sure, this can't be too bad, because if I was to draw her looking at her, it probably wouldn't be the best thing anyway, like, you know. So we were doing it anyway, and we finished up, and I had lines all over the place, and she had something, as Megan was with me, and she said, "Oh, that's not too bad. That's, it looks like Shrek maybe, but there you go." But the tip Leah said was you shouldn't have taken the pen off the page, because if you take the pen off the page, you're gone, like, you know.
Yeah.
So that was enjoyable. But I had brought up some samples of whiskey that went in the cuvee, and we were talking about the process of putting the whiskey together, as she was talking about the process of coming up with the label, and very, very similar thinking, very similar way of looking at it, which I found very surprising. So she said, listen, we're going to get 2 canvases out, and we're just going to talk, have a drink of whiskey, and do whatever you want to do. And I'm not joking, you lads, my thing looked like, the children here could have done it. But every stroke that was on the bit of canvas I did meant something to me. Yeah. And I'm not joking, it was an emotional kind of a day. Yeah. Because as we were talking about it was just amazing. Yeah. Now, what I did do was I have a picture. It's in my office. 1 second now, I'm going to get it for you now. And I'll see, can I show you on the phone? 1 second now.
This will be worth a fortune if you ever auction it, you know, Ned.
Well, I don't know about that, but actually, I was cheeky enough to ask Leah for her one.
All right.
Absolutely.
Very
And could you
very
sign
good.
it as well just before I take it out?
Oh, she did sign it. Yeah, the two of us signed it, right? Now, 1 second now. So I don't know. Can you see this now?
Hold it still.
1 second.
Right. Hold it still. Over to the right. Oh, we can see it. We can see
Ah,
it.
yes.
We can see it.
And you done, there's two there. Which one did you?
Okay.
Have you done the whole lot? The whole lot, is that?
No. One of them is Leah and the other one is my one. So my one is, Leah's was the ones with the eggs kind of shape, and mine is the free style.
Right. Okay. Yes.
So the two of them sit proudly in behind my desk there in work.
That's brilliant.
And it was just an amazing day.
Uh-huh.
And she came down there over a week ago as well, as we had it in the bottle, and again we had a bit of a taste and then a chat and the whole lot. There's Ned there's the young lad sticking his head in. Say hello, Ned.
Hello, Ned Junior.
Hello.
Ned Junior is put all this together for me there a couple of weeks ago, so he's responsible for the display behind me.
Good lad.
There's a lot of empty boxes there, to be honest with you.
No. Listen, 10 out of 10 for the window dressing and the set dressing. That you're one of the best frame guests I've seen. The rule of thirds. There's a third above you, a third of the side of you, and there's loads of the product. So that's good. Young Ned's doing a good job there, Ned.
Yeah. So Leah was amazing. The whole process was just brilliant. Yes. So the art today, I think, it was. I think I was being set up initially, for a bit of comic entertainment, but it turned out to be a brilliant day. It was just a magical day.
Yeah, I think there's something to it because there's elements in both those drawings that obviously come from the same ether or whatever, or something like that.
Mm.
We've been waiting months to see that picture, Marty, haven't we?
Nice.
Well, if you get a chance to come down to the distillery, you can have a look at it in person, and you can see does it live up to the billing or not.
Well, whenever the world gets back to normal, probably back to normal, we'll come down and pay you a visit, man. Now, the cuvee is coming out in literally days, probably, rather than weeks.
I think it's the first week in September, which is only a couple of days away.
Yeah.
I'm not sure of the exact date. I know we're doing something over in England around the middle of September, kind of a launch thing.
Yeah.
But I think it probably will be on sale probably around the 7th, 8th, 9th, something like that of September, I think, around that.
All the usual outlets, I assume.
All the usual outlets, yes. There's going to be I think there's about 50,000 bottles, so it's not a rush out and it's gone and that. But I think it's going to be very interesting. I suppose one of the thing I want in a whiskey is first and foremost is someone to smell it and smile and drink it and smile. And for me, whiskey is something that brings me back in time to memories. And that's whiskey is a great thing for that for me. And I think this whiskey will evoke a lot of memories for people, or bringing back to childhood, or working on a farm, or all that kind of thing. And the other thing is, like, whiskey is, I think, is an atmospheric drink. So depending on what farm you're in and what company you're in, like, because there's so many compounds in whiskey, you won't get them all in the one go, obviously. You mightn't get half of them, but depending on where you're drinking it, who you're drinking with, it's definitely an atmospheric drink for me.
Well, I think whenever you see some of the tasting notes, I mean, I see one here that you had on the thing. It's this nose is midsummer hay and it feels warm on your tongue. That's actually more an emotional style of thing than actually
Yeah.
what it's hard to sometimes put into words what it is you're getting from something, but you just put it into an emotion more than anything else.
Now I'm going to say, sorry, Ned, I'm going to say some maybe a wee bit negative here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Does this have the potential to ruin the whiskey industry? Because we have done a then and now tasting. We have tasted old red label with new red label, and the old red label was flavoursome and fantastic compared to the new red label. Isn't that right, Marty? Yeah. So if this really is that good, it has the potential to make some whiskies look really bad, doesn't it?
No, I don't think so, because and that's not dodging the question, because I know in my heart of hearts some people are going to drink this and think it's muck, because everyone has different tastes and different things. When would you say when Proper 12 came out? I was asked several times, "Oh, what do you think of that? You think it's bad?" And I'm thinking, I said, "Listen, a rising tide lifts all boats."
Okay.
One of my favorite sayings. I say that all the time, Ned. I do genuinely.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, with Proper 12 or something like that, if millions and millions and millions of Americans are drinking an Irish whiskey, and it gets 0.5% of them interested in other Irish whiskies, what's the problem with that?
It's a good thing.
There's absolutely no problem.
I mean,
if we we don't say what we're doing is right or wrong. This is what we believe, and this is what we are doing. And the other thing I'm cognizant of is that we have very, very good investors and very deep pocket investors. So for 6.5 years, we didn't have any income. We didn't have to pre-sell casks or sell casks, or we don't do gin. And we're in a fortunate position we can do that. Other distilleries have to cut their cloth. Yeah. And they will have to do what they have to do. And everyone is passionate about their project and what they are doing. Yeah. This is just what we believe in. As I said, Mark is not a shit star. He's someone who passionately believes in terroir, and he will go on and on and on about it. Okay. Yeah. So the question, is this going to ruin whiskey? I don't think so. I think what it might do is
they'll up their game. They'll have to up their game.
Well, I think first and foremost it'll put a spotlight on Irish whiskey, and where's your grain coming from, and not everyone can trace it, and not everyone can do that. And if people are interested, at the end of the day, like we have a terroir code there. Someone might buy the whiskey and don't care about the terroir code. Oh, exactly. They mightn't care what goes into it, but that's fine. And there's other whiskies out there for everyone as well. Yeah. But what we're doing is we're doing everything to the best of our ability, and we're saying it's provenance. Yeah. And barley is king. It's the buzzwords, but it's as simple as that. It's terroir, traceability, and transparency. Yeah. So you want to know about your whiskey, we can tell you about your whiskey. If you don't want to know about the whiskey and you like the taste of it, brilliant.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, to say that you can tell us what it is on this bottle, I'm able to find out that the fermentation time was 131.5 hours, the type of yeast, the type of barley that was used, the type of, I mean, you even list, you're listing on this where the cask fill, how much there was, and you're getting out the casks and stuff. I mean, the level of detail is incredible. Yeah,
because we have that. Like most distilleries have what each cask was filled at. They have that. Yeah. We have it. You might as well see it. And the other thing is, a 200 liter bourbon, it shows a nominal figure. It can go from 189 to 210, you know what I mean? So that just shows you that casks are individual as well,
Mm-hmm. No, that's just amazing. The whole project's it's mind blowing, the whole complexity of the project. But what you're tasting in the glass, I do have to take my hat off to you, because I do think some of them much more to my taste than some of the other ones that I've tried. But I mean, what you're getting for a relatively young whiskey, is really, really good.
And that's the thing too. Our whiskies are, going to get older. Like like we'd probably still bring out some 3.5-year-old whiskies at some stage, of single farms maybe, just to see how they're starting and what they're like.
Yeah.
You can compare them then to some of the other ones that we bought out. And, we will have a 10-year-old, we will have a 12-year-old down the line. We don't have them at the moment because we're not old enough. We don't have it, and we haven't sourced it from anywhere, so we don't have a 25-year-old.
Yeah.
But I suppose the thing about it is, for us as well, it's. I think the conversation is probably going away from the age of it now, which is good. I think initially a lot of people were saying, "Oh, it's very young." And I suppose one of the things, or some people have said to me that the price is a bit ridiculous now. Micro Cuvée for 90 quid, for 90 euros, and it is cheap. But it's probably a bit pretentious maybe to say this, but we're making a super premium whiskey.
Yeah,
the inputs are, like you said earlier, Marty, about the Vinlock and that bottle. The grain prices, everything is just that little bit dearer, and they all add up. And at the end of the day, the CFO is still looking for a return. The investors are still looking for a return. So
none of it's a charity. None of it's a charity.
It is a little. It is expensive, but there's a lot of extra inputs gone into it, and you can get maybe two. As I saw someone saying, you could get a bottle of this and a bottle of this for the same price, and of course you can. That's it. But you can get your bottle of Gia, you can get your bottle of Picnic, but you won't get it again. You might get some of the other bottles again, but you won't get these again. They'll be gone. And that's it.
I always think the thing about any whiskey, really, if you're going to spend money on a whiskey, and I'm talking once it goes sort of beyond the 50 quid plus, the £50,
special occasions.
The thing about it is you don't sit down to drink a huge amount of it. You're not sitting down to drink with your mates. The point of it is you get it out, have maybe one or two on a Friday evening, you finish work for the week, and it's a special occasion. And if you take it for what it is, you can. I always bring up the likes of Black Bush. I never have any Black Bush in the house because I always go through it like water. As soon as it comes to a whiskey, that's what I reach for. And that's perfect for that because it's 25 quid a bottle. But I can have one of them and then go, right, I fancy something nice tonight, and lift something down that's a bit more expensive. Have one or two of those and set it back, and that's me done. So you pay for quality. That's unfortunately that's just that.
And the other thing which I've heard a good bit as well is a group of whiskey enthusiasts or friends. They buy a bottle each of maybe 5 or 6 farms. They come together. They mightn't open the 5 or 6 on the same night, but they'll definitely, so between them they're able to do that. And I think that's where whiskey clubs and that kind of thing comes in as well. You can have your Sheavestown tonight, your Ballymorgan, your Dunmore, whatever, and you can just have a nip of each and compare and contrast or talk about it and say, well, I like this one and I like this one because.
Yeah. And whenever you get, now that the whole Waterford project has started to settle down and you start to see what it is, you're going, right, okay, what I can do is I can buy a 1.1 and then we can buy maybe the 1.2 and see what the difference has been. What was the weather like? And then you start Googling you go onto your terroir and find out what's going on. And you can actually spend a couple of hours over your 2 bottles researching the whole thing, etc., etc.
Yeah. Like you mentioned earlier about the SoundCloud of the farm, and some people, it's a bit of a gimmick. It is a bit of a gimmick, but that is the farm sounds on whatever particular day that the guy went out and did it, and that's just if you want to play it in the background as a backing track to taste the whiskey, great, but we wanted to do it. It's a bit mad. We wanted to do it, but like, but for me, like one of the things is, I think someone contacted us, say they were over in America, and they were from a particular area, and they got really emotional when they heard the wind, and I think it was rain, because it brought them back to when they were young in living in, I think somewhere in Wexford as well, like, and it was just, you know, that's what I'm talking about. Whiskey is an emotional aspect, and like if we can add to that experience, you know, why wouldn't we?
When are you going to get a farm up near us, up near the the northeast coast, Northampton coast?
We have.
Excellent. Put me down for a bottle. Put me down for a bottle straight away.
There was one in Donegal, was there?
There's one in Donegal, yeah. I'm trying to think of his name now. I think it's. I could be wrong with this now. Is it Tinny? I can't think of it now. But we have farms in each province now. We have Leinster, obviously, because you know Wexford and Carlow and the whole lot, Laois and Kildare. We have the Jacksons in Tipperary, which are organic. We have Con Murphy, which is a father-in-law to James, one of our distillers in Waterford, and we also have. I think this year we have Flavins. The porridge people have supplied us with some barley. We have Brian Kenny in Galway, and we have I can't think of the man's name in Donegal. So we have the 4 provinces.
Excellent.
And again, like that, you know, they don't get in unless the quality is good.
Yeah.
Okay,
of course.
You know, but like, why wouldn't you try and get someone from Donegal or up around the north? Because it's just different terroir. It's just different terroir.
Different terroir, and it gets great travel miles.
That's it too. Yeah. Well, she's not too far. She's probably not too far from Donegal. Well, she might give out to me now, but I think she says she's based in Meath, but she's actually in Cavan, I think.
Oh, good Ulster woman like us.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Tyrone today with the football beating Kerry as well. So
there's no chance against Mayo, but have they?
Hey, listen, if Mayo win that, Genie back after whatever many years, it'll be there won't be a bull Milton Mayo for a week.
He will get a Zuckerberg. I talked about the black pig stack once and they cut it off, and it's a real thing. But anyway.
Lethal.
Sorry about that.
All right, don't worry.
So the cuvee is coming out on the first week in September. Yeah. Price point, what's it going to be roughly?
I'd say it's probably going to be around the €75 mark.
75 euro.
Yeah. So I'd imagine. So I'm not sure what it's going to be in pounds. In around €75, I think. Yeah.
ABV 50. Same as.
50. Yeah. All 50. All the Waterfords are 50 at the moment. And you know, natural whiskey, no chill filtering, and no additives, no colouring.
Yeah. Now I genuinely am looking forward to it, Ned. I honestly think it's one of the whiskies that's coming out that I am actually really looking forward to, because I think it'll live up to what you've been doing. I just have that feeling, you know. Yeah.
Well, to be honest, you asked me earlier about being nervous about the stills and that. I am, you know, I'm looking forward to this, but still nervous at the same time, because like this is I'm hopeful that this lives up to the Waterford expectations.
Yeah.
And like the other thing is, if people want to knock Waterford for, you know, I don't believe in terroir, or I don't believe in this and I don't believe in that. That, you know, fair enough, you can't do much about that. But once people are honest about the whiskey, and if they don't like it, that's grand. But if they're going to knock it because they just don't like Mark Rainier, or they don't like what we're doing, that'll give me a pain in my hole. If someone says I don't like it because this or that, the other, grand. But if they're just knocking it because of, you know, they don't like Mark or terroir,
Listen, you can't please that. People who are passionate seldom please everybody. That's kind of why they're kind of why they are the way they are. And people who are driven really upset people. So what
I suppose that's it.
What are you going to do? Now, I think, Ned, I'll let you go to your bed, my friend. But I see you have the bottle up there in the background. You have a bottle.
And it's open.
And it's open. And he's going to make us all jealous.
And it's half full now at this stage, I think. Can you see? See, you can't see the level on that either.
No, see, nobody knows how much you've drunk.
It's half full.
We sort of can.
And there's the lid for it.
Yeah.
Didn't lock.
Okay.
Now, it just looks.
Leah's label.
It just looks sharp, you know. It looks totally different.
Stands out from the crowd.
Yeah.
It stands out from the crowd. So, Ned, thank you very much for joining us, my friend. It's been a pleasure. You have one of the best stories. The whole Waterford project is interesting, but you've got one of the best stories in Irish whiskey. You really do. Where you've come from, where you are now, and where you're going. It's round of applause, mate. Well done.
Yeah. No. Thanks very much, lads, and thanks for your support as well. I suppose not just of us, but you know, of all the Irish whiskies and stuff. It's great to see it. And you were saying earlier on, you had a good few viewers in India and all that. And I suppose that's testimony to the fact that, you know, you're down to earth lads as well. You're not into the old BS, and that, you know, that sits well with me, like, you know.
Yeah, I can't be doing it. I see all that. That's probably why I'm not a member of any of the whiskey clubs, because I don't mean not to cast aspersions on any whiskey clubs, but I've seen some of the stuff and it's just, oh God, just not for me. Unfortunately, it's not for me.
No.
But guys, thank you very much, and thanks everybody for watching. Justin will tell you all the details of where you can get it, as always.
That's it. Tomorrow it's repeated on LinkedIn and Instagram. If you ask your smart speaker, I won't say her name, whether it's the G1 or the A1 to play Irish Whiskey Review podcast, it'll play it probably tomorrow, maybe tonight. And we have a separate podcast out on Wednesdays, wherever you get your podcast from. Tune in to Irish Whiskey Review. And we're also on Reddit now as well. So if you want to search for us using whiskey, bourbon, or scotch on Reddit, you'll find us there as well.